How you doing, Fox here? I'm on my way to a service call to change out a Symmons shower cartridge. It's just not getting hot enough for them, and the set screw in there, I have it cocked all the way back, so it's as hot as it can be. So that's telling me that there's some type of clog inside that cartridge. So we're gonna go change the cartridge out. I have it with me, and you will learn how to do it as well. Okay, this is what your shower valve will look like in your wall, your Allura trim. I'm going to go over the parts list for your Allura trim. And what we have is, we'll start with this. This plate here is going to just simply thread on the center of the valve, and it's going to end up looking like this. And then you're going to have your main escutcheon here. You'll have two screws that are going to go in here and here to hold your main escutcheon onto the valve. And now what you're going to have is, this ring here is just going to simply snap over those screws just to hide them so it looks nice. We also have the diverter lever here, which is going to sit like that, and this is just going to either divert your water or give you more volume depending on what valve you have. And then the other piece we have here is the main dial, which will be held on by one screw, which you can see right here. It's going to simply just sit in here. Then you can cover that screw up with this plug here, so everything looks nice. And the first thing you want to do is take a razor knife or a sharp edge to pull this plug out here. It's not screwed in or anything, but sometimes it can be difficult. Now that you have the plug out, I usually just put them on a shelf over there. Make sure you don't drop them in the drain, that always sucks. And then the next step is to loosen this screw that's behind that plug, and that's going to remove this whole handle here. Need a Phillips head screwdriver tip for this. Sometimes these handles can get stuck on there or corroded on there if it's an older valve and it takes a little bit of muscling. This one here is fairly new, so it shouldn't be too bad. There we go. Okay, now that we have the handle off, the next step would be easily and gently take this trim piece off. It just snaps in and then you can pull it off. Sometimes you need to get a flat head to stick inside these edges to gently persuade this to come out. But in this case, it just easily snapped out for us. Now, what you want to do is, this is the center escutcheon that threads on the spline here. You just lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And then this slides out like that. Now you have your center escutcheon. Now you have two screws here that you hold that escutcheon in. You'll need a Phillips head screwdriver and simply lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So spin to the left, take the screws out, and then this whole assembly will come off. Okay, now that I have the two screws out here, we'll just gently take this plate out, and now we expose the valve. Okay, at this point we have to shut the water off to the house. So what you're going to do is find a water main location in your house somewhere. In this case, it's going to be right over here. They're going to have an access for us cut out. So you just simply shut the ball valve, and then you can drain from the lowest point in your house. If you don't have a bathroom down in your basement with a faucet that you can open up and drain the water from your whole house down into, then the next best thing is you have to find a drawer off somewhere low, like this one here, hook a hose up to it, catch the water in a bucket, or you could go outside to a silcock, open up a silcock, a hose bib, and drain it through your garden hose. But you have to shut the water off to the house to change the internal parts of the Symmons valve, unless it has internal flow checks, internal ball valve stops in it. We're going to be getting into the shower valve. This is why we shut off the water, is so when we take these internal parts out that we're not going to get blasted or sprayed or make a mess. This valve is not equipped with internal stops. Some are. They'll be located on the hot and the cold sides of your valve, and they're on the inlets feeding the actual valve. So what you want to do first is take your handle, channel locks, whatever you want, and spin all the way to the left, which would be full hot on the actual stem itself. And I got a 5/8 wrench ready here, and you want to take this bushing off first, this brass plug here. That's the first one. Now that being removed, we just put it off to the side here. Now I take my toothless channel locks here and just simply grab onto this main valve here that's in the front and use a little muscle and go left with it. And there we go. At this point, you should be able to do it by hand, and you might want to vacuum a shop vac ready to catch some water, or try to divert the water into the shower cavity here so it doesn't fall on the wall.
Here we go. I have my vacuum
Okay, I have the actual cartridge out here. This is what it is, and to take this cartridge off this faceplate, you just simply unthread the faceplate. Sometimes you'll need wrenches, one on this and one on the faceplate, to just kind of back it out. And you can see it threads on by that spline there. And this is the part you're trying to change. This is your actual cartridge. So we'll be putting that new one in. Okay, I have the Symmons TA-10 cartridge. Very common universal cartridge. Brand new out of the box. Just go like this. Directions, but if you're watching this video, you won't need these. They'll give you a new O-ring to seal, which would go in place of the old one right here. This old one looks like it's in good condition, but we'll still put the new one on anyway. And then this is the new cartridge. It comes pre-greased, and you're simply just going to take this faceplate, push it in, and thread it on. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Just like so. And now we're ready to slide this back into the shower valve. Okay, now we will be taking this part here, is going to slide into that cavity, and then this faceplate's going to thread back on. Make sure you have your ring on to make that seal. Faceplate is on. Take your stem and put it to the off position, which would be all the way to the right. Take your adjustables, tighten up that faceplate you just put on. Stem all the way to the right. You're going to go righty-tighty. Use a little bit of muscle. Now, you take this front bushing piece that you took out and you put that back in. When you put this back in, take a look in here and make sure you see a black O-ring gasket right in there behind it. That threads in, and then you tighten this up as well with your wrench. Now you are ready to turn the water back onto your house. You probably want someone standing by the valve to make sure everything's okay while you're at the water main turning the water onto the house. Okay, we have the valve back together, the parts are in, everything's successful. We turned the water back onto the house. We went and purged out all the faucets to get all the air out of the lines. And this has been together now for about 15 minutes. You need to just keep a really close eye on this to make sure there's no little drips or anything seeping out. And this looks great. So the first thing we have to do is take our big escutcheon plate here with the 2 screws, and they're going to go through the 2 screw holes here, and like this, and then you just line them up with the 2 screw holes over here, and you put them in. But you also want to take your volume control, slide it in that slot, and you can see there's a little saddle built in for it, just like that. And then you're going to take this, match the pattern of your volume control up with the pattern of the insert, and then just slide it on, and then you tighten the screws up. Okay, I'm just tightening up the final screws here, left and right. The diverter is locked in and in place. A little extra tight in there. Okay, and then the next part is this escutcheon here, and then there's threads in here, which are going to thread right on that bushing that you took off. So this slides on like this, and just simply spin it to the right. Feel it out so you don't strip it. It's only a plastic escutcheon with a chrome coating. There we are. Now the next plate you get to put on is this, and it just snaps on 1, 2, 3. Gently put this in, because as you can imagine, those plastic little tabs that snap in can break easy. So we go down, up. There we go. We're all starting to look like a valve now. There's your volume control. There's that. The last thing to put on is the handle. There's your screw. And here, I'll give you a close-up of that plug. That's going to cover the screw when you're all done. And that's what you need the razor knife for, to pop the plug out. Like this. So I know it's off. Try to get it as straight as you can, unless you're a person that likes it upside down, up on the right, whatever your preference is. There we are. Just take this Phillips head. So really, to put this trim together, all I needed was a Phillips head. That's it. There's 1, 2, 3 screws that you have to take off, and the rest just snaps together. And you're done. Now that I just ran it, I want to make sure that I'm getting cold. Getting hot. Oh yeah. Nice. Warm. We're good. Complete.